Hey, happy Monday, everyone. Hope you are doing well. It's a new week. Last couple of days in September. Then we start October this week, so that's exciting. New month. Inching towards the end of the year, actually pretty quick. And yeah, a lot of stuff happening during this time of the year. And this is In the Raw, unscripted, unpracticed, unedited conversation. And we've been talking about surrender. And first we talked about surrendering our stuff, all the material things that can take the place of God. Then we talked about surrendering our status. You know, we can view ourselves as being so important that God takes a second place in our lives. And then we talked about, most recently, about surrendering our sin. You know, we are all sinners, and we can slowly draw away from a sinful life to come closer to God. And so today we're going to be talking about surrendering self. And so we're going to talk about what that means, right? And, you know, one of the things that I've really always caught my attention and has always interested me in seeing people is how people spend their money. You know, you can tell a lot about people just by looking at how they spend their money and what they spend their money on. And, you know, what we're talking about today is much greater. It's about a much greater investment than how we're spending our money. You know, how are you spending yourself? How are you spending yourself? So, you know, what does it mean to surrender yourself? Well, it means giving everything, every part of who you are to God. But then that opens up a lot of questions, at least it did for me. Do I have to surrender all my dreams, all my plans to Him? Does that mean that my life's going to be boring, or that I don't have to suffer anymore? And so what does that really mean? What does it mean for me to surrender myself? We're going to see what the Bible says about surrendering to God. And sometimes it gets in the way of totally giving your life to God, you know, and sometimes not wanting to surrender is what I'm meant to say, you know, gets in the way. Not wanting to understand this, actually, more than surrender. Understanding this gets in the way. You know, sometimes we think we're too busy and we don't have time to do that, right? So, but every one of us, I want you to think, every one of us, when we first fell in love with God, if you're a Christian, we were already living a certain type of life. We already had dreams in our minds. And this is everybody, whether you're a Christian or not, actually. We all had dreams in our minds. We already have some sort of plan on how we want to live our lives and what our lives is, you know, our future lives are going to look like. But what Jesus is asking us to do, He says, I want you to surrender everything to me. In fact, He says, if you're going to try to hold on to it, look what He says in Matthew 10:39. Those who try to keep the life they have will lose it. But those who give up their life for me will find true life. That means that we have to surrender, but it doesn't mean that God didn't give you certain desires and certain abilities, and that He doesn't intend for you to use them for His glory. It means that you put everything on the table and say, God, here I am. Here's everything I am. I will go anywhere. I will do anything. I will say anything, and I will trust, like you said, that if I lose my life, I'm actually going to find it, and I will actually find more life in you. You see, God has given us talents, gifts, abilities. And sometimes the Bible says that He will supernaturally gift us. He'll give us these abilities to help other people. It's always for the common good. And it's actually a really exciting thing when you think about it. That is what He means by this. If you let go and lose your life, you're really going to find it. And so that is what we're going to be talking about in the next few videos. I look forward to it. What does it mean to surrender ourselves? All right, well, I hope you have an amazing day, an amazing week. It's a beautiful week ahead of us, and we will talk to you soon.